All right, let's bring in now Wes Tabor, former DEA agent who served as the DEA country attaché in Venezuela from 2010 to 2013 and helped investigate the Maduro regime. And Wes, you are very familiar with not only Maduro and his wife who have been taken into custody, but the inner circle that operated around him. What are your thoughts this morning about what has transpired, and what do we need to know about that inner circle, which we presume the Trump administration may continue to pursue?
Listen, we have like 15 people that have been indicted. The indictment was released in 2020 talking about the charges. We have conspiracy to import controlled substances, narco-terrorism. We have providing material support. We have drug trafficking conspiracy. I mean, listen, these guys are responsible for many deaths, taking the citizens of Venezuela, removing their freedoms, destroying the country, bringing in a myriad of characters from Iran, the proxies. You have Hezbollah, Hamas, narco-trafficking terrorists, ELN. You have FARC terrorists all coming in. And at the same time, he builds what? He builds the Cartel de los Soles, which is all the generals, which is all of the cabinet members. We have officers on the streets that were involved in this, captains, lieutenants. We had the head of the equivalent of the DEA down there, Nestor Reverol, indicted, right? So listen, everyone had a piece of this, and as they destroyed their country, their goal was to destroy the social fabric of our country. And hats off to President Trump, because for 30 years almost, we've been dealing with this plague in our hemisphere. And the only man to take it on was President Trump. Look what he did. In a matter of 3 hours, we went in, we extracted a president. He's not a legitimate president. We extracted the president of a country and brought him where? To our safe, warm arms, where he's going to be prosecuted. This isn't over by any means either. Listen, we have a lot of bad actors. You know, I wrote about it in my book, Infiltrate America. We have a lot of gang members there that are controlling in the streets. We have so many different individuals that called colectivos that are in the streets as well. And then we have all these other bad actors and proxies that are there. So, you know, this isn't a clean sweep by any means at this stage. We still have to make sure that Maria Machado, who is probably going to be the people's choice here to go as an interim president, to carry the torch forward and then have presidential elections.
So clearly it was a remarkable surgical operation to get him out of the country along with his wife in literally a matter of minutes or hours. Tell us what that would have looked like. You know, President Trump is very particular to always point back that this was an operation in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. So would DEA agents have been on the ground with our military people? Would they have been in the room when they grabbed him? Describe for us exactly how that operation would have looked like.
Sure, let's back it up, right? So let's go back for the last 20 years. Law enforcement officers like myself were there collecting evidence, right? So we build a case over decades of time like this. This isn't something that's just rolled over overnight. So we have decades of investigative effort against these people. And let me tell you something, we had a lot of dangerous situations. They wanted to kill me at one point, right? So I had a contract on my life from them. So, I mean, these guys, they're not playing games by any means, but we have other officers that were there, other agents, and we had other people within the United States that were investigating as well. And we pull it all together and we make this case. And in 2020, they came out and said, this is what we have, right? Which is a huge collective effort of all the law enforcement. But when you go in with a military force like this, okay, and I can't speak to too much of it, but there's a lot of people that were providing intelligence to the military in Fort Bragg, right? Okay, so I'm not going to talk to my involvement in it, but I was involved in some aspects of that. And the intelligence that goes into this, you're going to take anything you can that's going to be legitimate, solid intelligence, right? So those military operators are going to go in. DEA is not going to be with them in the helos and all that stuff. That's not what we do. We investigate, right? However, when they brought him out of Venezuela, they turned him over immediately to DEA agents who took him into custody, and then DOJ is obviously going to prosecute him with the help from DEA and other law enforcement agencies as well, because everyone has a case on one of these guys somewhere down the rung, right? So That's what happens. But DEA agents are not going to be flying in the helos there to go grab them and so forth. But we do provide intelligence as well as other people. Remember, there's a $50 million bounty on this guy's head.
Right.
$50 million.
And Wes, it's important to remember that this isn't just a humanitarian effort because for the Venezuelan people. This is a national security crisis because of the narco-terrorism and all of the drug trafficking coming through Venezuela. I mean, you look at all of the routes, and they all lead to our southern border here in the United States. And while President Trump has done a miraculous job at shutting down the southern border, he's not stopping there, and he's actually trying to go to the source, whether it is from China or others, but a huge route is through Venezuela. And so this is him staying true to his word on tackling narco-terrorism. What does it look like from here? Because while he did cut them off at the knees through this military operation, what more can we expect to be done to ensure that these narco-terrorism efforts become dampened?
Yeah, great point. And a lot of people miss that because, and I call it the accordion effect, right? We're playing the accordion. When you shut down the western side of the border, what do? They come to the Caribbean corridor. And when you shut down the Caribbean corridor, what do? They go to the side. This time, President Trump said, hey, we're not playing games here. We're going to choke off both sides of the accordion, and we are not going to let it go. And then we do the transit country, right? And as we cut off Venezuela, now what is Colombia going to do? Because we have, listen, this leftist former guerrilla, this terrorist that they had, he was a former guerrilla at Petro, and now he's the president of Colombia. And he's offering lifelines to Maduro and support for Venezuela and all this stuff because in his mind, he wants to support the radicalness, right? He cut the spray program for cocaine, and that's why cocaine was being abundantly grown, processed, and shipped through Venezuela, okay? So when you're looking at Venezuela being taken off the chart now, right? Hopefully, we don't have too much of a mess in Venezuela. We know everything has gone very smooth, but we have to follow up with it because you have colectivos, you have Tren de Aragua, which are already in the street creating chaos there, okay? So you have to quell that. And then you have to get the support of the police and military that were not corrupt, right? And then you have to kind of rebuild that country again. But think about this. Now you have Mexico, you have Nicaragua, you have Cuba, you have these other left-leaning areas, and Mexico is probably going to be the worst. I mean, just think about it. Everyone in that country almost is touched by some level of violence or crime caused from narco trafficking. The fentanyl is coming through there, and it's killing not tens of thousands, not 100,000. In the last decade, it's killed over 1.3 million people in our country, right? So enough's enough.
Wes, I want to bring you back to, you mentioned, of course, that Maduro and 14 other individuals in Venezuela were indicted in March of 2020. And I'm just seeing that Senator Tom Cotton posting this morning to X saying Nicolas Maduro wasn't just an illegitimate dictator. He also ran a vast drug trafficking operation. That's why he was indicted in U.S. court nearly 6 years ago for drug trafficking and narco-terrorism. He adds he spoke to Secretary Rubio, confirmed that Maduro is in U.S. custody and will face justice for the crimes he committed. And in the last part of it, Wes, he says the interim government in Venezuela must now decide whether to continue the drug trafficking, including with adversaries like Iran and Cuba, or whether to act like a normal nation and return to the civilized world. I urge them to choose wisely, Senator Cotton said. Now, that tweet comes, Wes, as we have heard from Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president of Venezuela, taken to state TV, demanding proof of life of Maduro. What do you know about Delcy Rodriguez, and what do you predict will be the choice that the Venezuelan government makes in the near future?
Right. I have one word to describe her. Feckless. Feckless. She is feckless. She is not going to do anything. She has no power. She has no pull. No one is going to follow her. Let me tell you something. The sources that I have in the country were telling me that a lot of the intelligence officials and military guys were just going home. When they saw the bombs falling, they just went home. And the surgical strike, when they hit, my sources are telling me they went right in and they were hitting Sabine, like the intelligence centers and communication centers. This was such a well-coordinated strike, guys. They have not left people like her, Miss Feckless, in charge. She is not going to get any legs on this whatsoever. And I really do believe that Maria Machado is going to be the people's choice. And this is an interim choice, right, guys? Because there's going to be an election there. This country just wants to be a democratic country again, just wants to be free again. And it all began with the open arms of socialism. Hey, guys, with Hugo Chavez, socialism. Everyone deserves to have everything you want. We're going to share everything. And when they did that, the next step was, well, you really don't need this. And the next step was, you don't need this. And then it turns into a full dictatorship, because that's what happens when you allow socialism into your country, right? So they have had enough. And Miss Feckless, she's not going to get any legs. So I wouldn't even be concerned about that whatsoever.
So Attorney General Pam Bondi just posting on X, Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. Nicolas Maduro has been charged with narco-terrorism, conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns, and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices against the United States. They will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil, in American courts, on behalf of the entire United States. So obviously you have, DOJ, I would like to thank President Trump for having the courage to demand accountability on behalf of the American people, and a huge thank you to brave military and conducted this incredible and successful mission to capture those two alleged international narco traffickers. So obviously, you have been a major, a part of the investigation over these years. How do you see this trial playing out? And will it be in New York, or will it be in Miami?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be in New York. A lot of these high-profile cases are in New York. But they'll use the evidence from every jurisdiction that they can. I mean, they're just going to cooperate on this effort and make sure that it's done properly. So that's not going to be an issue whatsoever. But, I'm telling you, this has been so well coordinated over the years. It's going to be a slam dunk. There's so much overwhelming evidence against all of these individuals. And this is just the beginning, guys. Listen, you have these two that have been taken into custody. We've got like 13, 14, 15. We got 20 more of these guys that are floating around, and they're going to be scurrying anywhere they can to try to get away from the long arm of the law. And that's not going to happen. We're going to get a lot of these people, and they're going to be locked up too. This is just the beginning, because when you start looking at this, the effort that we put through, we've arrested many other people in this, throughout the years, and those people helped obviously to cooperate and provide even more casework and effort that we move forward to get all the indictments on these, because this is just the way it's worked. This is public information. You can Google this stuff and take a look at the history behind this case. It's not going to be a problem whatsoever, guys. You're going to see a lot of them, when they do get arrested, they'll plead out, because they're just looking at overwhelmingly huge, hard time for many, many, many decades.
Wes, do you see that this trial really will track in parallel to the operation that captured, prosecuted, and put behind bars Manuel Noriega back in 1989?
Yeah, I've been talking about, Operation Just Cause for the last 3 or 4 months, that we've had a lot of the upswing of what's going on in Venezuela. But the true difference in this strike was we didn't lose 26, 27 guys. Right. Let me tell you, these guys in Bragg, and the gals and the Marines and the naval and the air men and women, what a wonderful job they did. And the agency did a great job providing the intel. Other people provided intel. It was critical that you take as much as you can that's really good, solid information, and give them the best package you can, because lives are at stake. This isn't even, when you're going in there on the ground, they're not thinking about the prosecution. They're thinking about grabbing this guy and getting out safely with them and delivering the package where it's got to be delivered. Because every one of these soldiers that are going and doing this are thinking about the 1.3 million people that have died from overdose and fentanyl and drug abuse in the United States. And we've had enough of it. And nothing feels better than going in there and taking those people off the street and bringing them back for justice. Nothing feels better than it. And that's the part I miss about being with DEA.
Yeah. Wes Tabor, former DEA agent, thank you so much for your insights this morning.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.